Welcome to Business Line's State of the Economy podcast, where you'll find insight, analysis, and the story behind the numbers.
Hello and welcome to Business Line State of the Economy podcast. I'm your host Ronendra Singh, and today we are going to discuss about the Indian telecom industry, what we saw in 2024 and what can we expect in 2025. In this episode, we have Director General of Cellular Operators Association of India, SP Kochhar, who says the year 2024 has shown that the telecom industry is the foundational industry and it is emerging as a supreme foundational industry because every other industry is now relying on telecom. The 5G proliferation in India has been the fastest in the world. The data rates are growing, the subscriber acquisitions are increasing, and so is privatization. Overall, the year has been very good for telecom in the sense that reach out to the masses has increased, activity on telecom has increased, he said. However, there are some worries too that remain about revenues and ROIs. Also, though the Telecom Act has been enacted and the rules have been pronounced, the adaptation of these rules by all the concerned is a little slow, he said. Apart from these, there are several issues and development that we talk about in this year-ender podcast. Listen in.
Welcome to Business Line's podcast, General Kochhar. You represent the telecom industry as Director General in Cellular Operators Association of India, COAI. So the first question I would like to start with is, how would you evaluate the performance of India's telecom industry this year in 2024?
Well, this year has shown that telecom industry is the foundational industry, and it is emerging as a supreme foundational industry because every other industry is now relying on telecom. Therefore, it has become a horizontal rather than remaining a vertical, and it is fully operational as a horizontal. And the 5G proliferation has been the fastest in the world, as you're aware. The data rates are growing. The subscriber acquisitions are increasing, fiberization is increasing. So overall, the year has been very good for telecom in the sense that reach out to the masses has increased, activity on telecom has increased. The worries definitely remain about revenues and ROIs. Those are being slowly and steadily addressed. We've also increasingly started looking in the future, going forward, maybe up to 2030. So overall, if you ask me, I think it has been a good year, and it has been a foundational year on which now we will build.
Okay, so talking about some gaps in the 5G, so what are the key gaps that the industry is currently facing in terms of deployment of 5G networks in India?
Whenever we deploy a new technology, there are two or three things which are essential. One is the wherewithal, the implements to roll out the networks. And the major implement that is required is spectrum.
Right.
Now, scientifically, it has been proven that in India, we require 2 gigahertz of spectrum in the mid-band to roll out effective 5G networks.
Right.
Unfortunately, we have got just about 800 megahertz of spectrum, which gives us a deficit of about 1200 megahertz. So that is something going forward, it will cause a lot of problems. The reason being that if we have promised to give 5G in a manner that is textbook, then we require this amount of spectrum.
Right.
And that is what we are asking the government, that either give us the spectrum in the C-band, or then give us in 6 gigahertz band because 1200 is available there. So this is what we've been asking the government, because otherwise, as the networks become dense, as they become populated with subscribers, the experience that we wish to give to the subscribers should be the best in the world. That with 800 megahertz may not be easy to do, right? The second thing we require is fiberization. And for fiberization, we require a sound ROW policy so that there are no impediments in rolling out the fiber. Although the Telecom Act has been enacted, the rules have been pronounced, but adaptation of these rules by all concerned is a little bit slow. And the Secretary Telecom has himself written duos to the Chief Secretaries of all states, asking them that the telecom rules as it stands today should be implemented from 1st of January. Hopefully that will improve the ROW problems, because at this point of time, there are problems of the local body not accepting what the state is saying, or the state's not fully in line with what the center is saying. So this is actually a period when we are changing over to the new act. So slowly and steadily, we hope this will happen.
Okay.
Third thing is about any businessman who invests money in networks or any business looks at ROI.
Right.
Now, this ROI is unfortunately clearly depleting, and there are two reasons. One is that a huge amount of regulation and policy inserts are being placed on the telecom operators, especially on calls as well as on SMSs. Now, this is essential to an extent that the subscriber should not be bombarded with spurious and spam calls. And over the last 1 or 2 months, you have seen that this has reduced as far as TSP traffic is concerned. But what has happened in the bargain is that most of these are now shifting into social media platforms. All the spam and all the spam calls will slowly shift. They've already shifted from SMSs because this is usually regulated, and it has gone into social media, which is not regulated at all. Now, this is a persistent demand we have with the government, that we should have the same rules for the same service. If they're delivering text or social media platforms, and they should be also regulated by the same laws that govern us. Okay, otherwise we are losing not only traffic, we are losing revenue, and the public is being subjected to a lot of spam, not through TSP traffic, but through other means. But that has to reduce. That is something that they have to look at it. Second thing where we are losing revenue is on international calls. While TRAI has correctly defined what is an international traffic, but the landing cost in India of an international call is a measly 65 paisa. Whereas if a similar call emanates from, say, Singapore or Dubai, it is multiple rupees. Right now, this is something that the government has to fix. The landing costs have to become competitive with the rest of the world. Unfortunately, that also causes a lot of loss of revenue. So these three problems need to be addressed ASAP, so that the telecom industry goes ahead with full gusto and starts rolling out networks and giving services that are desirable to the population of this country.
Right. So do you expect something positive in 2025 on these three points?
No, it will be difficult for me to say what the government is thinking. I can't do crystal gazing, but we from our side have tried to push these points to the government's notice at the highest level.
Right.
And I'm sure they must be deliberating upon this. And judging from what actions have been taken by the government on various other issues which were plaguing us, this should catch their attention, and we should find some resolution on this sooner or later.
Okay, all right. And as 5G evolves, what disruptive business models or industries do you believe will emerge in India over the next 1 or 2 years? Considering India's diverse socioeconomic landscape, how can 5G be a true enabler for equitable digital transformation across rural and urban areas?
Okay. Now, this question has to be answered in multiple parts. One, let's take the rural part where the teledensity is low.
Right.
The aim there is to aggregate as many subscribers as we can at the least cost and with the best amount of services that can be provided. This can be done at lower frequencies using 5G. 5G not only gives low latency and high capacity, but it also does a huge amount of aggregation, which is almost 100 times more than what 4G can do. So therefore, the catchment area of a 5G BTS will be much higher than the catchment, not the area, but the catchment of a 5G tower will be much higher. And therefore, the reach out to subscribers will be much faster. And the advantage there would be that we will not have we will not have a requirement of going in for standalone 5G in rural areas as of now, because there's hardly any industry there. which requires 5G. And therefore, we can go with non-standalone 5G also, which means lower cost outlays for the TSPs and faster rollouts.
Right.
The problem here would be fiberization. That has started with a bang, and all the TSPs are now fiberizing at a very frenzied pace, and therefore this also is being addressed. But like I told you, this has to go in conjunction with ease of doing business as far as ROW is concerned. So that is something which the government has to look into, and along with the government, the state governments and the local bodies also have to see that in their long-term interest, the provisions of the Telecom Act have to be enforced in letter and spirit. Right? There have been cases, not so much in rural areas, but even in urban areas, where deemed approvals as laid down in the Telecom Act have not been taken into cognizance, and towers are being demolished. Now, this is something which is going totally contrary to what are the provisions of the Act. Of course, it has been brought to the notice of the DOT, and they are looking at it very seriously, and they are in touch with the state government where this is happening.
Right.
So these sort of problems will be there. But yes, rural areas will see a lot of 5G effort in the non-standalone regime, a lot of fiberization happening there, and a lot of fintech and edtech happening in this area.
Okay.
As far as urban and semi-urban areas are concerned, these can be divided into industrialized zones and non-industrialized zones. In the industrialized zone is the classic example where 5G can be used, because 5G's utility comes in when there are integrations required with human beings and machines. So machine to human and vice versa communications is what is the forte of 5G. Now that will happen when Industry 4.0 comes into these industrialized zones, and that has slowly started coming in, and therefore we will see a lot of effort happening in that area. Obviously, this will be standalone 5G, because we will require edge computing, we will require edge storage, and we will require slicing. These are essential for getting maximum benefit out of this. In the areas where industrialization has not yet caught up so much, we will see applications hovering around the use of platforms, because platforms are the new flavor which will emerge. They will be aggregating platforms for applications, and therefore we will see this happening. So this in general is what I see emerging in the Indian context.
Right. And also, one of the things is that AI has also emerged as a game changer for a lot of industries. And what possibilities do you see AI being used in a lot of areas in telecom? For instance, we have seen Airtel has used it for curtailing spam with their new platform which was launched. So what other possibilities can we see in the next year or so?
See, AI reduces time and increases the area of operations with least cost overlays. And AI comes in two flavors. One is embedded AI, and the second is generative AI. Embedded AI is coming into the networks in a very large way, because the networks are getting virtualized. Software is increasingly defining the network elements, and therefore AI is obviously the key, the major partner in this. AI, ML, all these things will come in, and this will improve utilization and operation of networks. Earlier things were being done semi-automated or manually, will now get fully automated, and we will have improvements in the network usage and in the efficiency of the networks. This will happen as far as this has already started happening as far as embedded AI is concerned. As far as generative AI is concerned, generative AI will benefit the businesses which are growing on 5G platforms, and those will come out with innovative applications which are specific to their verticals and which can generate more profit for them using less amount of cost, etc. So we will clearly see AI emerging in these two segments. Where the embedded AI will be more global in nature. Generative AI may be more local in nature.
Right. Okay. Lastly, on the 6G, that we are hearing a lot of buzz around that network in India also now. So, do you think India will be able to take a global lead in 6G development also?
The way India is proceeding scientifically and with a mission, I think it will happen. India has already laid down a 6G roadmap, and they're not only looking at standards, they're also looking at use cases right from the beginning. This didn't happen in 5G. We learned from that mistake. We are looking at use cases. We're looking at various aspects of 6G. And alongside, we have also started looking at Make in India. We started looking at manufacturing bases in India. So if you put all of these together in a cauldron, what will emerge is that India may be one of the few territories where 6G will get germinated, and then it'll take up, because India is a huge market.
Right.
Therefore, consumption of these products in India and export to outside should logically happen.
All right. Thank you so much, General Kochhar. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you so much.